What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Shred Show Live. We have got another banger for you today. Let me tell you what, because every time I get to meet new people throughout the industry and have conversations, it's always inspiring. It's always motivating. But now more than ever, especially with the market that we're in, you have to be thinking about an efficiency within your business. And we're about to unleash an entirely new way of thinking and some things for you that are truly going to help you, because having scalability in this market is critical, absolutely critical to the future success of your business. Are you taking the right steps to truly move and shift with the market challenges? And are you capitalizing on them right now? Well, if you're not, you're in luck, because today I'm joined by ICE Mortgage Technologies, two of the best of the best. I've got the VP of Product Marketing, Eric see, I already messed it up. It's Kujala. You would think it's Kujala. How do you even spell it? Like, Eric, what is up with that? But I'm joined by Eric, and then also Senior Enterprise Solutions Sales Executive, Brent Nichols, and we're going to be sharing some incredibly valuable insights on where lenders are strategically investing in the future, the solutions that can drive financial gains, and why right now, not tomorrow, right now is the time to act. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Are you ready? It is time to shred. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Again, welcome to the Shred Show. As always, I love our conversations. I love the people that we have on the show. And the conversations are truly all about helping you, focusing on the things that are truly timely and are going to help you improve, especially with the market that we're in. We all have high hopes. We want to see the market improve, but we have these conversations to ultimately help you thrive within this market. And I could not think of two better gentlemen to be joining me today to be sharing a few of these insights. Eric, Brent, welcome to the Shred Show.
Yes. Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having us. This is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
This is going to be awesome. Like I said, I couldn't think of two better guys to be hanging out with this morning and having this conversation, especially about when it comes to efficiency and really thinking about where we need to focus and how great companies like ICE Mortgage Technology can be partners and help us in the future. We've got a lot to break down. We've got a lot to dive into. But before we do, I want to get to know you guys a little bit better. I want to get to know, we see your smiling faces. We can feel your energy through the camera. But let's get to know you guys a little bit better. So, Eric, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the industry.
We were kind of talking about this before, kind of prepping for this, is like no one really wakes up in the morning and says, I want to be in the mortgage industry. I was definitely not in that camp either. So I woke up and I was like, I had no desire to go to the mortgage industry, not because I didn't want to, because I really didn't know anything about it. So I probably, like many people, and I'm sure Brent's got a similar story here, but I kind of got pulled into it. So I was working at British Airways at the time. I was dating my girlfriend, who's now my wife, who's actually upstairs working over there in the corner, and got to a point in our career where one of us had to leave. I got moved to Boston. She was still in Michigan. One of us had to leave. So I quit my job, came back because to be honest, she made more money than I did at the time, which is great. And I was unemployed, and a buddy of mine that I went to college with was like, hey, we're starting up this new division at Flagstar. We want you to come over and be a loan officer for us. And I was like, a loan what? And I had no idea what it was. I didn't know how to spell mortgage or anything. So I was like, sure. Went to go apply at Flagstar, and lo and behold, that was 2002 when I started back in that. Just got pulled into it by a buddy of mine from college. So, and just stuck with it. Yeah, just stuck with it. So.
And that's just it. We all have just stuck and stayed. Rarely, like every once in a while, you'll hear somebody like, "Oh, I left the industry," but we always get sucked back in. Always sucked back in. It doesn't matter how long we've taken a hiatus. Sometimes we need it. But what about you, Brent? Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the business.
Yeah, I blame it on the love of college football for the reason I'm in the mortgage industry. So let me go into a little more detail. So I was at the University of Georgia. It's my fourth year, and I said, man, I was an MIS major, management information systems major. And I was like, man, I kind of want to see one more football season. So I stuck around for an extra fall, and by doing that, I said, well, I can about 4 more credits. I can get my finance major. So I double majored in MIS and finance. Watched an extra football season. And then the dot-com bubble burst, and my MIS degree was kind of not really a whole lot of job seekers out there for technology at the time. So there was a bank in the Atlanta area that was looking for someone to come in and manage the mortgage trading desk and locking loans and things like that. So I cracked my teeth in the mortgage industry on the capital market side, secondary marketing side, operating a mortgage locking desk, and then grew my knowledge around that and managed some secondary marketing teams for some banks in the Atlanta area. And then by happenstance got recruited over into the technology space when the mortgage world was really kind of moving to a paperless world, right? It was 100% paper at the time. And I got pulled over into that paperless world with a kind of a startup early stage technology company. And then really the rest is history for me as far as being in the technology space.
Honestly, you took that in a completely different way. When you said college football, I'm like, he lost a bet. Like somebody's like, so you lost it on the game, and like now you're stuck, man.
He just didn't tell you that part of the story, Josh. That's
I was gonna say, I'm sure the real story's in there somewhere. But again, two incredibly unique stories when it comes to being in the industry. And as you mentioned, we've learned, we've grown, and it's something that whether we say it or not, we love it. We're here to serve the industry, and we're here again with this episode today. We're gonna be sharing some things, some insights to truly help all those watching and all those listening continue to improve. Because let's dive into this. There are some challenges. We are still in a challenging market. There's some way smarter than me, but there's some incredibly smart people in our industry talking about, hey, some things we had to look forward to and some really positive outlooks. But at the same time, there are still some challenges. So what challenges do you think lenders are or may experience in the next year or two if they haven't implemented any of these tools to operate more efficiently and really improve scalability? Brent, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, frankly, I don't see how companies are going to survive because, the history's repeating itself and taught us some really good lessons. Because right now we sit in that state where, the hiring and firing of employees is not sustainable. And right now, the lenders that are planning for the future and investing in technology right this moment are going to be the ones that are profitable. They're going to be the ones that take market share, and they're going to be the ones that survive going into the future. So I don't really see how you can even survive if you're not investing right at this moment for the future.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And we hear that a lot, and companies they're being very frugal, if it's a good word. They're being very smart. They're looking at, hey, what should we be investing in? So Eric, what are your thoughts on this? How can we truly help lenders have that experience, and what are they going to experience the next year or two? And what are some of the tools they should be focused on when it comes to efficiency?
Yeah, well, I think Brent hit it on the head. It's like this industry is cyclical, right? We're kind of history repeating itself right now. So we're going to end up, this is going to happen again, right? Rates will kind of bounce back. We've already seen some good silver linings. And again, to your point, a lot smarter people than us projecting all those outcomes for us, which is great. But it'll happen again. There'll be other dips in the future, whether it be 3 years from now, 5 years from now, who knows what that crystal ball kind of looks like. But to Brent's point, if you're not looking at the ways to just, coming from Detroit, I always use manufacturing kind of metaphors, right? Like if you look at other industries, like if you look at an assembly line, for example, like to manufacture a Ford F-150, it takes 17 consecutive hours, I think it was, to create an F-150 from zero to a full F-150 on the other side of it, right? It takes us 30 to 45 days to manufacture a mortgage, right? So how do we actually, apply and look at our own processes individually, right? Apply technologies to help actually make an impact each one of those things. Because Kim Hoffman used to say it all the time, like, all this technology is going in the industry, but yet the days still stay the same. The cost of origination still stays high. But I think, the lenders, to Brent's point, that are actually taking a really analytical look at their business and understanding where their impact could be and what investments to make. Because to your point, they are being frugal, but they're being more strategic on where they're applying kind of their funds, right? And what they're going to invest in. And it's identifying those different aspects of the manufacturing process, right, where they can actually apply technology to it and then drive that down. We just did a case study, actually in the process of doing a case study. I can't say the lender's name yet, but they were able to bring down their app to close date by, from 30 days down to 17, which is huge.
Wow.
I mean, that's a material change, right? So, it's those types of things and those types of lenders that are looking at that type of assessment to really start to make an impact on their business overall. And that needs to happen when times are slow, because when times are fast, and times are big, we all know they're too busy to do things. It becomes a lot harder to do, and you're just throwing resources after resources just to keep up with it. So
exactly. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. That the market shifts before you know it, and lenders will not make a project investment or a change management investment when the spigot is turned on. So if you don't make it now, the time will be here before you know it, and they won't make a change at that point, and then they're going to be behind, and they can't profitably compete with their competitive markets. So.
Brent, you literally stole the words that nobody wants to make a change when things are crazy. When we're like, when business is cranking, when things are good, we're like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I'm not saying it's broke right now. I'm just saying, looking at our efficiencies. That's why having a partner like ICE Mortgage Technology, looking at, hey, as a lender, where can we be more efficient? Where in the process can we improve? Plus, you guys put out a recent borrower insight survey that's looking at the generational borrowers and the experience that they're wanting, from automation to processes being evolved. We all know the industry continues to shift, continues to change daily, and some of these things, like you guys have already mentioned, it's just getting them implemented. And again, Eric, it's very exciting to me that you guys are putting in the work now and gathering the data from lender partners that you're working with, so we can improve on the process. That is part of truly being efficient, is learning from ourselves and how we can grow in the future.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, I mean, if you're not willing to take a lesson from history, it's gonna be tough.
We can stop right there. Like, literally, you kind of said it. We can learn from our own mistakes and lessons from our past, so we can improve on the future. But so let's talk about that, because for the lenders that are taking steps to future-proof, I like the word future-proof their business right now. What areas of the process are they investing in most right now?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, we've been kind of diving in on a few customers, and the way we've kind of looked at it, it's across basically four to five different planes, right? Number one is, if you look at the overall cost of origination, depending on what number you look at, let's just call it, for argument's sake, it's around $12,000, right? Give or take. You look at different, MBA's got one, we've got one, it's around that area. That's a big number. And that's just a blanket number. That number feeds into your business operations in different points, right? Kevin O'Leary's favorite thing is like, what's your customer acquisition cost, right? Well, our lenders have a customer acquisition cost, right? They have to understand how they're going to get Josh Pitts as a borrower and understand what's going to take to get them to apply, right? There's a cost associated to that. So they're looking at how they're actually acquiring customers is probably step number one. Once they do win Josh Pitts as a customer, right? How do we then put his stuff together? And I hate using the word stuff, but it's the best word I got for us today. So how do I put Josh's stuff together, right? In an efficient manner where I can get back to him in a timely manner? Because we all know time kills all deals, right? Once I figure out the credit decision, that manufacturing process, I then have to close it efficiently, right? I got to get it out the door. I got to put it in my secondary. I got to go put it in my servicing, whatever the capital strategy is on the other side of it. I got to then get it there, right? And then ultimately, if I'm a servicer, I got to either get it to my servicer or serve it myself, and so on. So I hate to be so broad across the answer, but it's really looking pinpoint areas across those lines of business to understand exactly kind of where they can drive the most impact. Because if your cost to acquire customers $5,000 out of your 12, it costs you $4,000 out of your to manufacture loan, that's already $9,000, right? That might be where you fish, right? So understanding the baseline of where you guys at, that's where you fish, and then you pinpoint those areas and across the business to apply those resources to it, which could be as simple as applying technology or just a process change, right? That's the other thing too. It's not just about applying technologies to it. It could be like, we get stuck in this rut of, well, this is how we always used to do it. Well, let's challenge those things, right? Let's challenge those things. A simple process change may have a material impact without really having to change any, material business processes or technology. So
that's an interesting way of thinking about it. Is like, there may not be this grandiose change. It may just be some small thing. May be a few little tweaks here and there, and even like streamlining some of the operations piece of it, Brent. That's something too that I think that really helps us understand where we're at and where we need to be with really investing in these tools.
Yeah, and I'm seeing, instead of having this, like Eric said, it's a manufacturing line, right? Tools that lenders have at their availability today, it really changes from a linear process to a task-based or an exception-based workflow, where I can have certain lower cost resources focused on these 5 tasks that get generated from automation. And then for these more complex tasks or 5, task, conditions, rules, however you want to put it. I need my senior underwriting, my senior, users focused on those. So, changing the way we think about and the way we do things today, and from a linear perspective to, a dynamic perspective is really what I'm seeing a lot of our innovative lenders are doing today.
Yeah, you definitely don't want technology underwriting the guy who's buying a condo in New York with crypto with 6 of his buddies and 3 of them are resident aliens. It's like you don't want technology doing that stuff, but apply those resources to that and allow the other stuff to move through. Like that's really what it comes down to.
You guys have both mentioned this, and I think this part of it. I don't want to side quest or tangent too far into this, but I mean, being a dynamic, we've been such a linear industry for so long. Do you think becoming more dynamic is almost helping us? Is it improving it? Is this being able to adjust on the fly?
I mean, I think it's going to take time, right? I mean, these are a lot of, I don't know how long you try and stop a freight train, right? It takes miles for it to stop, right? But if you dice that freight train up into little parts, all aligned to the same goals, suddenly that freight train, same amount of material, stops faster than anything else. Yeah. So if you can get to that point within your organization where you can actually look at it and say, okay, how do we change this ship and just make those changes? It's going to take it takes a top-down approach to push it down, and it takes a bottom-up approach to make sure you're actually pushing and identifying those champions. I mean, without that, it's going to be really, really tough. But they're out there. Those leaders are out there to kind of foresee these things and drive those types of change within the organization. Without that, you're going to be where you are today.
And exception-based workflow, it really helps improve duration. So I'm not doing a complete process. Then I'm triggering something to go to another person that's doing a complete process. I'm focused on a task, and then I go to the next task. And while the information and data is coming in, you don't have to wait for a human to complete their task. That's really what I see a big impact from technology like DDA is the ability to automate and divvy out those tasks. That way a human is not waiting on something to be completed before they start.
Ooh, so you talk about DDAs. Let's jump into that because you mentioned the impact streamlined operations can actually have on a lender's bottom line. Can you share a little bit more about some of the benefits that you have seen customers achieve with automation solutions like DDA in their tech stack? And do you have any recommendation that could ultimately help make implementation easier and even ensure lasting ROI? Brent, let's start with you with this.
Yeah, the way I think about ROI and impact is there's a lot of different ways. So there's productivity and efficiency. So the time it takes me to do a certain process. So one of the things from a large national bank that works with our solution is their income process and credit analysis process. They were able to reduce that process by 83%. So really from a process that was taking 30, 60 minutes to do, they were able to, drill that down into, 5 minutes, 1 minute in certain situations where they're just looking at the income and signing off on it or checking off on it. So that's productivity. I think duration I've already mentioned is another thing. So according to a Freddie Mac case study, and you can measure this in a lot of different ways, but it's about $25-ish per day if you could shave off the time from an origination standpoint. So we've seen lenders eliminate 7 days, from the time of app to time to close. There's quality metrics. These are harder to measure besides how many buybacks did you have prior to using a technology? How many repurchase requests did you have versus how many do you have now? Through our technology, that's one of the things that we help eliminate is repurchase requests. And then, scalability, we talked about the ability to scale, and that kind of leads into increasing lending capacity, secondary marketing execution, where I came from, the ability to trade faster. That's more basis points. Delivering data that actually matches what's on the documents to an investor and not having all these price callbacks, that's a huge piece. And then all that leads to is a better borrower experience where I'm not having to go back to the bar to get another document that we thought we had, but we didn't have, and things like that. So those are some areas where I see a lot of ROI and a lot of impact from a technology like data and document automation and our mortgage analyzers.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
No, I was going to say, and this is one of the things too, with that, I think part of all of this, and whether it comes to tech stack, whether it comes to automated solutions, it's the implementation of the various pieces of it. Implementation, and something that we have discussed with in past conversations with the entire ICE Mortgage Technology team is almost having implementation milestones and having like, hey, now we've come here, now it's here, now it's here. And that's how technology works. Like if you just give somebody, if you start speeding them through a fire hose, we've seen it happen how many times in the industry. It's like, never mind, this doesn't work. Like this is not a solution I even want to delve into. But being able to break it down and being able to say, hey, here's where we're at. This is our next, we need to get here, we need to get here, we need to get here. That's ultimately going to help us improve the ROI, improve the usage throughout a company. So Eric, but I interrupt you. I want to hear your thoughts on this.
No. I was just going to reiterate that. I mean, it comes down to understanding change management, but along those lines, like what are the next milestones to your point, Josh, like what you were talking about, but more important, not more importantly, but on top of that is the why. Right. Is why are we doing this? Like, why is this a thing that our company invested into? Why am I sitting here having to learn this new technology? Why am I the one that has to be the one that has to go through and test it and be the person who kind of, decides if this works or doesn't work? They need to understand the why, right? And what the ultimate goal is, which could be very strategic and very long-term and very, big, hairy, audacious goals that the company might have, right? The old BHAG, reference. But you got to boil all that down into the individual person and what the benefit is on the other side of it. Because once you get that buy-in, that helps you create awareness. That helps you drive desire around it. That helps you understand the knowledge that they need to do this. They understand the ability to actually apply that knowledge to actually get it done. And then at the end of the day, and I'll use this, and for people listening, they're going to laugh because I say this all the time, but I cannot stress enough, reinforcement is probably the biggest thing. It's one thing to start it and kind of go, but if you don't reinforce it every day, we're doing something right now to adopt some new methodologies for our sales team, and we're constantly reinforcing it. Here's why we're doing it. Here's what we're supposed to be doing. Here's why we're doing it. Here's what we're supposed to be doing. Here's why we're doing it, and make that repetitive. It gets a little annoying, right? Brent's laughing because he knows what I'm talking about. But that reinforcement strategy is probably the creating the awareness, understanding the desire, knowledge, and ability to actually do it. But that reinforcement strategy helps you carry it through. And long-term goals on the other side of it. Yeah.
And just to add to that, I heard this from one of our partners at the servicing conference last week or the week before last. Can't remember. Time flies. But leadership in the trenches, the executives getting down at the user level, explaining the why, and that we're here with you. It's going to be hard, and setting the expectations, and then heading into what Eric mentioned, that repeat. But leadership in the trenches is key to the successful adoption, because it is hard. It's turning a process that's been done the same way for so long into a different way of doing things. It takes that executive sponsorship and leadership.
Yep. Well, go ahead. The big why in there is like Brent said it at the end of his first part, was it ultimately leads to a better. I'll use the words customer experience, right? Because it's customer to me is borrower. Maybe you're a wholesale shop with a broker, correspondent with another correspondent letter, right? The customer will benefit from that experience, because, if you ever gone to a restaurant where you love the serving staff, but the food's terrible, do you go back to that restaurant just for the staff? No, you probably don't, right? So the process and all those things coming together drive success and adoption around, not only just from your own internal employee base, but your customers will benefit from it as well.
Oh, 100%. And kind of along those same lines, these solutions they're not just going to help lenders keep up with future loan volume when the market turns. You actually have to use them. You have to leverage them. So let's talk about how can they actually leverage these tools to have an impact when things are slow. We mentioned this a little bit earlier. Things are slow now. Now's the time to get, to your point, Eric, repetition, getting familiar with them, getting comfortable with them. So how can we leverage these tools to actually have an impact right now when things aren't as busy as we'd like them to be?
Good, Brent.
Yeah. Again, history repeats itself. But what happens when the market, slows down a bit is the agencies and the auditors and compliance hammers down on you, right? So it's a deeper dive look at loans and quality and compliance and things like that. So, putting in place tools like, data and document automation, the mortgage analyzers helps with that. It prevents those gotchas of, what happens in a human spreadsheet checklist process is a human makes an error or a decision and it could look good, but they missed something. Or, back in the 2021 era, they were working 80 hours a week, overtime, going through as many loans they could with human effort. So, and they made there were errors that happened during that time, and lenders are paying for it now. So trying to, buy back a loan that was originated at 2.875 in an interest rate environment that we're in today is a costly endeavor. So I think quality is one of the areas where you can impact today.
Yeah, I think, recognize where you're at too, because I mean, to be quite frank, it's really hard to measure ROI when times are really, really slow. When you have an underwriter or processor, whoever has 5-10 loans in their pipeline, right? Idle hands is the devil's work, whatever that saying is, right? I mean, that's really hard to measure that ROI. You've got to recognize that that's the point of the business that you're in, and know that on the other side, because again, history repeats itself in this industry, as we all know. When you get to that other side, to Brent's point, you're going to be positioned better than anybody else in the industry. But again, you got to take a real hard look, because it's like you got to dive in deep. You just can't go over cursory kind of over the top of it. You got to dive in really, really hard on each one of those kind of business processes I was talking about earlier, and then say, okay, here's where we can make material impacts, another material impact, and those things coming together will actually drive a lot of it. So they need to be looking at those things day in and day out as part of their just daily operation, and walk the assembly line. So.
And that's what I was going to say, is walk through the assembly line. Look to see, is there anything that's not, is this process not working efficiently? Is this, hey, wait a minute, this isn't quite functioning properly. Maybe we need to make a quick tweak with this, and we're good to go. But that's actually why, kind of as we start to wrap this conversation up, having a partner, there are plenty of vendors out there and plenty of technology companies, but honestly, and we could speak on this, we could talk about this for hours on end. Companies are no longer looking just for a technology vendor. They want a partner. They're looking for an innovation partner, if you will. They want people to help them with market shifts, with rising costs, and with changing borrower preferences. These are all things that we need to be aware of. But I mean, as both of you have mentioned in this conversation, as a lender, as somebody who's in the trenches, we got a lot going on. We're busy. We got things to focus on. So having a partner like ICE Mortgage Technology helps position us. It helps really be that guide and that person that can show us, that can walk us down the assembly line, Eric, and say, hey, we've been here, we've done this, we put the machine together. Let us actually help you with these efficiencies. So how is ICE positioned to help lenders succeed going forward, Eric?
Yeah, well, across several different areas. Number one is, we want to understand and take the time across those, how do you acquire customers? How do you put it together? All those things I was talking about before. Brent, I'll speak to his kind of experience. I've watched him several times, dig in on stuff. Hey, walk me through that. I need to understand that better, because I can sit here and stand in front of you for 4 hours and talk about all the great things that we have, right? Which is wonderful, but 90% of them may not make sense. 75% of them may not make sense. Whatever that number is, you can then take that knowledge from that understanding, that conversation we have with customers, and then apply the solutions accordingly, right? So that and bring in the teams that can help, right? The other thing too is that, one of the things that we are is that we have a lot of stuff, right? But how do we apply that stuff to those particular problems and understand that? That's where I think one of the first area that we need to shine at and continue to shine at is understanding what those things are. So we're applying what we can. And secondly, we also know and understand that we may not be for certain things for everybody, right? And that's okay. We got the partner network that's there to help support it. The reasons why we do that is to become kind of that trusted partner, that trusted advisor, right? To say, look, we have this thing, but we also have this other partner that can do it. Based on what you told me, here's kind of the recommendation, right? Now, obviously we want to push our own things. That's not anything that we're not going to say, but when we get down to it and understand it, we can apply the best solution, based on that. To me, that's kind of a partnership. And if you meet us halfway to that stuff, the conversations go, they're very productive. You actually get stuff done, and you can actually apply what we've got across the spectrum, or not, to what problems you guys are trying to solve for. So to me, that speaks to how ICE becomes a partner, is really just diving in and understanding a lot of those nuances between the business lines. So,
well, I think that truly defines what a true partner is. It's somebody who can actually say, hey, I see where you're at here. Yes, we have this and this, but honestly, you need this. And it may not be exactly what we have, what is it in our system, but we have the other partners. That's why ICE and everything that brings it together, the collaborations, the partnerships within, It is the all-in-one solution, whether it's in-house or it's like, hey, we've got this other partner that can best fit your needs. And
Right.
Brent, I think that's, as we evolve as an industry, it is being that Eric mentioned, an advisor. It's no longer just, of course, we're all salesmen or saleswomen or salespeople at heart, and we want to, provide the best solution, but ultimately we may not have it. And that's what truly defines a partner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. And ICE, this is a playbook that ICE has run since its history. We've started in the industry market and turned that from an analog to digital transformation in a downturn. And that's kind of the same thing that we're doing right now in this mortgage industry. I mean, how many mortgage technology or companies are going triple, double, quadruple down and investing in our market right now? And that's what ICE is doing. We've connected, an end-to-end ecosystem from real estate to the capital markets. But it's still like you guys said, it's a very open network. There's a ton of data at your fingertips, and whether that's our data or, a best of breed partner, we're still an open platform. And through APIs, you can connect to anybody on our partner network or through your own platforms.
That's right.
Yep. I was going to say, you guys really do have the solution. Again, whether it's in-house or whether it's a partner,
Right.
It's there for us. And that's what that's what we need as a partner, looking at efficiency, looking where we're at, looking at where we can be, and having a partner that can guide us through that entire process. That's what makes ICE Mortgage Technology such a valuable resource and such a valuable partner. Guys, this has been such an incredible conversation. So many insights that you guys have shared on so many different topics, but have really helped us focus on what is making us efficient. What processes can we look at currently? And if all those who are listening, if you haven't done this, maybe it's time to take a step back and say, hey, where can we improve? Where are we in this process? And if you need to reach out to ICE and their team, say, hey, maybe we need a little bit of guidance here. But as we wrap this up, guys, I know we don't have a crystal ball. If we did, Brent probably wouldn't have lost that bet and he wouldn't have been in mortgage, but none of us have so we don't have a crystal ball to predict what trends are happening. But in a few words, in kind of in a synopsis, what are you expecting some trends for the next 12 to 24 months? What do they look like? Brent, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think we've hit a pivot point in the adoption curve. I think you can't, and like I said earlier, the businesses can't survive doing the way, lenders can't survive the way they've been doing things in the past. You have to be profitable, you have to move toward that exception-based workflow. So I think the technology is there, the data is there. There's just so much data at our fingertips today, everywhere in the process, from borrower aggregate data to the servicing side, to be able to predict, what a borrower is going to be doing, or, predicting, hey, if insurance goes up, we need to reach out to this proactive, engagement with the borrower. So I just see a ton more, exception-based workflow, data-driven processes. I'm not going to predict interest rates. People die on that hill. But I guess that's a very broad overview, but that's what I see in the crystal ball.
I love it. What are your thoughts, Eric?
Yeah, well, I'll actually go the interest rate route a little bit, but I'm definitely not the smartest guy for it in the world. But we all know it's all cyclical, right? So there'll be as many refi boom for those that got, 7.5, 7.75, whatever they end up getting in the last 12, 14 months, whatever it ends up being. Those will come out because they'll have a life-changing event, right? They'll get married. They'll unfortunately probably maybe get divorced. They'll have kids. Their kids will leave. There'll be all kinds of life-changing events that'll come around. So there'll be another kind of mini refi boom. But I think we're going to see a really hard look at affordable housing, especially coming up, just because of rising rates of insurance. There's a lot of emerging demographics moving away from cities into other areas and so on. So we'll see probably a demographic shift as well. It's one of the things we're going to talk about at the conference that we have coming up. But we're going to talk about some of the emerging demographics, some of the new programs that are coming out. Like you'll see that just to kind of bridge some of these gaps. So I think you'll see a few different kind of major looks at the industry across those kind of three planes. So
See, I actually disagree with both of you because I think you're two of the smartest guys in the room, and the insight that you just shared just goes to show that that is the case. So both Brent, Eric, this has been absolutely awesome and incredibly insightful. All you listening, take a step back and truly, maybe it's time with things. Hey, we can call a spade a spade. Things are still a little bit slower. Yes, it is a cyclical industry. We're going to see that boom again. We've got to truly analyze where we're at and look at partnering with the companies that can help us build for the future. And that's exactly what IS Mortgage Technology is all about. Eric, Brent, thank you guys so much for joining us. This has absolutely been one of those conversations that I know has helped me and has helped so many. So thanks for joining us today, guys.
No, thank you. We appreciate it. It's awesome.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you have questions, if you need help, if you need that guidance, reach out to the IS Mortgage Technology team. They are there for you. They are here to help you succeed. We as an industry can help one another. The data is there. The technology is there. You just have to be willing to take the next step. So now we're leaving it in your ballpark. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for all of you to go shred, go show up, hustle, repeat every day. Later.